If you have $500,000 or $1 million, you're not rich. I would spend that in a week. Save your money. I cut him a check for $1.4 million. Bank president called me. He said, I got one of your clients in here and he's got a check for $1.4 million and he wants his cash. So I said, put him on the phone. Most people are too risk adverse to find a reason not to do something instead of a reason to do it. If you're wearing a backpack and you get into the elevator, especially if there's more than 4 or 5 people in there, and you're turning around, if that backpack hits me, I'm going to consider it an assault. Another version of the Tony Busby podcast, Swimming with the Sharks. Here we are.
Episode 5.
Episode 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here with sidekick Colby, Guru Robert, also known as the Tech Czar.
Tech Czar Robert.
Tech Czar. Do you know, there's no czars anymore.
I know, there used to be czars for certain subjects.
Well, I don't know. There was the czar. There was the czar. The czars of Russia.
Exactly.
The czars. You know what's a good day today? Today is September 1 of 2025, and it's somebody's birthday. Robert, whose birthday is it?
Sidekick Cosby's birthday.
Cosby had a birthday.
Best co-host in the game. It's his birthday today.
Let's don't get crazy about co-hosts, but certainly happy birthday.
Thank you, boss.
From the podcast, the Swimming with the Sharks podcast, we all wish you a great birthday, and I appreciate you choosing to spend your birthday here with us. We were out on the hunt again.
Yeah.
We were on the hunt.
I'm happy to be here for my birthday, but what happened just before this wasn't great.
It would have ruined your birthday, really. But had it not been the fact that you were with me and Robert, probably would have ruined your birthday.
That was a pretty depressing birthday meal.
Okay, so let me just bring everybody up to speed. So what we've been trying to do is we have been trying to find the best prime rib in all the Houston area. We're not confined to the city limits. We're not even confined to Harris County limits.
But we are confined to the state.
We're confined to the state. I'm not driving to friggin' Dallas.
Well, somebody said Kentucky's got the best prime rib in the country.
That person can go stuff themselves. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to Kentucky. Okay, appreciate you watching. I appreciate you paying attention to our podcast. But if you think I'm getting on a plane and coming to Kentucky to have prime rib, you can just go get screwed.
Even if we knew that Kentucky had the best prime rib in the whole country. Which is a lie. Yeah, probably not true. But let's suggest it was. We still ain't going to Kentucky.
Look, I like Kentucky.
Okay.
I've been to Kentucky. That's the bluegrass state.
I've never been.
Well, Robert's been to Kentucky. We went to Kentucky. We didn't stay in Kentucky very long, but we were in Kentucky. So pretty soon we're going to be working out of a new studio. Pretty soon, once we get our new studio set up and the viewership is coming in, we're going to be talking about that. But pretty soon, once the studio's set up and once it's sufficiently the way we like it, then we'll start having guests. Mm-hmm. And then, Colby, you will no longer be the center of attention.
I'll still be in the mix.
You'll be in the mix.
Yeah.
You'll be in the mix, but we'll do less talking and we'll let our guests talk.
Right.
Because I think people probably prefer to hear our guests talk.
Yeah, but let's not pretend that Cosby's not here to stay.
No one's going to, especially, I wouldn't tell you, even if I had plans to get rid of you, I wouldn't tell you on your birthday.
Well, okay, that's nice.
I'm a kind man.
Right.
So we've tried B&B Butchers, which was a complete fail because they didn't have prime rib last week. We've tried Lorenzo's, which I got to say so far is the clear favorite.
Right now, Lorenzo's is in the lead.
We tried Perry's, and I just got to say what Perry's had was not even prime rib. I'm not even sure what the hell that was.
Not great, but better than what we had today.
And no offense to the Perry family, but your prime rib kind of and you guys went to J. Alexander's.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to have to take your word for it. You said it was not as good as Lorenzo's.
Not as good as Lorenzo's, but better than Perry's.
Oh, well, everything's better than certainly everything was better than what we did today. Today, again, here's might be another client of mine I'm going to make mad, but King Ranch, we went there. That prime rib was cooked last Tuesday.
Yeah, there's a picture that I think the czar is going to put on the screen.
Pick the picture.
I mean, I wouldn't feed that to my dog or anybody's dog.
No,
was.
We went to King Ranch today. We were all excited. I've been in Galveston for the Labor Day weekend. I was happy to come back and hang out with you on your birthday. Go get some prime rib, even though I've forgotten it's your birthday. and we get there, and we're all just loaded for bear, ready for some prime rib. And it comes out, and you take one look at it, and you didn't even have to cut into it to know it sucked.
No.
And you couldn't have to cut into it to know that it wasn't cooked today. And you didn't have to cut into it to know that it was sliced sometime other than today. So that's a huge swing and miss, King Rich. Your prime rib is a...
Yeah, the only thing worse than how that thing looked is how it tasted.
It was bad.
And both were terrible. And they brought the czar a ribeye that looked like it had been spray painted before they even brought him his prime rib.
I mean, they didn't even bring me the right thing. And the Coke, I ordered a Dr. Pepper, and it wasn't even Dr. Pepper.
So I just want to tell you folks out there, look, I don't want you to waste your time. If you're looking for some prime rib, and so you don't have to go all over the Houston area, you can just listen to us because we know what we're talking about when it comes to prime rib. I cook some really excelente prime rib. And so far, the only prime rib that's worth driving to, and the good news, it's not that much of a drive. I think it's on Washington.
Yeah, Washington Avenue.
Is Lorenzo's. So far, the only prime rib that you should even bother to eat is at Lorenzo's. And secondarily, perhaps J. Alexander.
J. Alexander's not bad. J. Alexander is a better date spot. It's got a pretty cool ambiance, cool bar in there. But
is that why you and Robert went together?
Yeah, we went. Just him and I. Happy hour.
But maybe that's why I wasn't invited. All right, so our first segment is just a thank you segment. A thank you. 1.1 million views, the number one podcast in all of Houston, soon to be the number one podcast in all of Texas. 1.1 million views. And as soon as we get our studio and our new crew, our new production crew, we're going to take off like hotcakes. The response has been absolutely overwhelming. 1.1 million views. That's a lot of views. And I'm not talking about little 10-second TikTok clips, which, you can put somebody taking a dump on TikTok and get 1 million views. That's nothing. I'm talking about real views, real thing. But, once we get this thing situated, we just kind of feeling our way.
Yeah.
Feeling our way because, we want to talk about things that matter to people. We want to give good reviews. We want to turn people on to the good stuff and talk about stuff that's important. And let's talk about, since we've got such an overwhelming response, are you prepared to talk to us about some of our comments that we receive?
Yeah, we got some more comments this week.
Because I love responding to comments that people make. And sometimes they get under my skin, but most of the time not.
Okay, this is from a woman named Jennifer. She said, Tony, you're talking about your prime rib. What other things can you cook, and what are you best at cooking?
Okay, and this is a surprise.
It's a good question.
Well, I think I can pretty much cook anything.
Okay.
I cook really good fried rice.
Mm-hmm.
Like the kind you might find at any of the good Asian restaurants in town. I like to cook brisket, even though it's very difficult to cook, and I usually only eat one slice. I do really good fried chicken. I do really good fried fish and fried shrimp.
I heard there's a soup that you do that's pretty good.
I do a very, very good, what I call a chicken cilantro soup that takes me about 3 hours to cook. But I can do prime rib. Of course, I cook a really mean steak. I can cook a steak either in the cast iron. I can cook a steak on the grill. I can cook a steak on the barbecue pit. Even I can cook a steak even on charcoal. I like to do them all. I can cook. All right. So when you get me, you get a cook.
Well versed around the kitchen.
I try to be.
All right. Here's another one. Would you agree that most super financially successful business people reach at least one pivotal all-or-nothing moment during their rise where they have to risk their whole net worth, basically?
I don't know if they have to risk their entire net worth. I think there are some really cool stories about people that have done so, like I did that as well. But I think if you've been in the round a long time, whether you've been in the legal business a long time or the real estate business or any business a long time, there's going to be multiple times throughout your career where you're going to take big risks. But I think the ones people like to talk about and the ones that are kind of really romantic is when you put it all on the line and it pays off. They never write the stories, though, just be clear, about the people that put it all on the line and go bust. They don't write about those, and those happen a lot. Right. So keep that in mind. When we talk about risk, and we're going to talk a little bit about seizing opportunity and recognizing opportunity a little later, when you're taking risks, we're talking about calculated risks. We're not talking about recklessness. Two different things.
Okay. And this is a comment, and I've kind of thought the same thing to myself. Not that I want to be your stylist, but I've always wondered if you've had a stylist. And this is from Brennan Todd. Tony, I want to be your personal stylist. So do you pick your own outfits? Do you buy your own clothes? What's your deal when it comes to style?
I do. I'm able to dress myself. Okay, that's about as simple as I can make it. I buy my own clothes. I buy off the rack. I don't need anything custom. I have, of course, custom suits, and I wear them just like I wear this. This is a Zegna off the rack suit. Huh? Is that not off the rack? Am I saying it's not?
No, I mean I guess it is, but
Are you saying it's not really?
that's not really like a suit supply off the rack suit.
I took you more for a Brioni guy, boss.
I was Brioni for 25 years when I was a little overweight. When I lost weight and I could wear Brioni is of course Italian, but I did all 100% custom Brionis, and because I couldn't wear off the rack, and those suits cost me $10,000 to $20,000 each. When I lost a lot of weight, I had probably 100, 200 suits that I'd lost so much weight I could not have, so I gave them to a church, and had some altered and tried to, but it wouldn't work. So now when you see me dressed, it's just whatever I wake up and feel like looking like, and I don't need a stylist.
So
you may think I need a stylist, but I don't care. I'm not gonna. I'm too old for that.
I think your outfits are cool. All right. This is from Scorpio Patriot. Why are people being awarded over $100 million for any case? That's ridiculously excessive.
Well, when your mother dies, or your father dies, or your child gets killed, and you need to make a statement to make sure that it doesn't happen again, to send a message to corporate America that life has a monetary value, that maybe you need to be a little more careful, then you can talk to me like that. And anybody that says comments like that doesn't understand how things work. There used to be, like BP as an example. BP was such a sophisticated company that it had done a analysis and had placed a dollar value on human life, and it was like $1 million. It had determined that if we kill somebody in the long run, it's only cost us about $1 million. Now think about that when we're talking about a multiple billion-dollar company, how the loss of life and people being injured, how that's not even a rounding error for them. And so therefore they act accordingly. So my job is not only to get people compensated for loss of life or somebody being injured, to make sure their medical bills are paid for, to make sure if they can't work that they'll have a sum of money that will take care of them and their family going forward. But what I'm most concerned about is making sure that lives mean something at the work site. And until you start popping somebody for $100 million, $200 million, $300 million, it really doesn't. And you say, well, that's just outrageous. Well, what's outrageous are when corporations and companies cut corners and people die. That's what's outrageous to me. Mm-hmm. That's what's outrageous to me, because I know that when you see a $600 million verdict like the last trial we had, I know that doesn't mean $600 million rolls into my trust account and I disperse it to my client. I know that gets reduced and reduced again and reduced again. And that's how it works. But that big number that comes out, that's what makes companies, CEOs, executives, boards of directors take notice to say, you know what, boys, girls, we need to be a little more careful. So you may disagree with it philosophically, but let me tell you something. I don't care.
Yeah, and that was one of the themes of the last trials, is what is the value of human life? Because obviously that man had lost his life, and it's something that you had asked the
what
jury
is the
to
value
think
of
about.
human life? And it's different in every county across the state of Texas and every county across the country. But what I said was, in Harris County, we have to make a decision here collectively that when you kill somebody with negligence, when you kill somebody with gross negligence, there have to be consequences, because the DA is not going to prosecute anybody for that. He can't do that. That's not his job. That's the job of a civil court system, and that's that's the system that we work within. And so I'm very proud of the many verdicts that I've had in excess of $100 million, because I know that they have saved lives.
Very cool.
All right, those are great comments, and keep your comments coming. One of the things I would say, anybody negative, be negative. It's okay. If it makes you feel better, that you sent us a negative comment, or you commented on our hair or the way we dress or anything personal, if that made you feel better, hey, you feel better. I feel great for you, because you're not affecting me in any way. Let's be clear.
Doesn't really hurt us.
Doesn't hurt me. They say they type louder than they live. So I would say, hey, let's get a life now. Let's get a life. But some of these comments that people have made, the questions that they've had, these are good questions, and we encourage them, and we encourage the negative comments as well.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on, and you know what really irks me?
What's that?
A lot of things irk me, but
We're going to our next segment.
no, not yet. This is a side irk.
Okay.
Okay, this is not a main irk. This is a side irk. When my printer prints two-sided,
Double-sided printing
I do not like that.
is not your deal.
I know it's probably saves trees, but I don't like it. Okay, some things that irk me. The next segment is called Things That Irk Me.
Okay.
All right, and let me start with, okay, so this weekend, I think a lot of people who like sports, and I know you like sports. You were a football player in high school. I was a football player in high school. Lazar was a football player in high school. You were a basketball player. You played basketball too?
A little bit.
Yeah, I played a little bit, but I wasn't very good. I was a better football player. I like to play tennis, and I like to play golf, and I like to play pickleball, and I like to
get out there and play.
I like to play a little sport here and there, right? And so I pay attention every football season. I pay attention, and so the big game this weekend, of course, was the University of Texas against Ohio State. That's world famous Ohio State, right?
Right.
And so there was a heck of a lot of hype surrounding young Manning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Archie Manning. Of course, named after his granddad, who was a big football star, and of course he has two uncles who also played, Eli and Peyton. I like Peyton. I've always preferred Peyton. He seems to have better personality, at least the personality that I like. His skit that he did on Saturday Night Live,
where he would throw the ball and hit those kids.
I mean, that is the funniest shit I've ever seen. But anyway, so there was a lot of expectation around Arch Manning,
right,
at UT, and there was a lot of expectation. And boy, the bright lights were on this kid, and they were playing the former national champions. And wasn't Ohio State national champion last year?
Yeah, they won last year, and they're ranked 3 in the country.
Yeah, and they're ranked 3 this year, and UT was ranked 1. So you had the clash of the number 1 team with Arch Manning playing the defending national champions ranked number 3. And all eyes were on this. And it was an early game. It was at noon Central. Big doings, right?
Big game.
And I have a personal interest in this only because my godson plays also for UT, which is young Taff, and Taff is friends with Manning, and
we're the same number.
Yeah, and somebody said that Taff was instrumental in convincing Manning to come to UT, but Taff is a solid kid. He's from a solid family. His father Pete and his mother Diane are friends of mine for 30 years. So I wanted to watch the game. I wanted to watch my godson play, and I wanted to see how Arch did. And you're playing an NFL caliber defense,
right?
And I think it coached by
the Ohio State D coordinator was the same D coordinator for the Patriots that won a bunch of their Super Bowls.
Okay, all right, this ain't child's play. I mean, this is big boy play.
Yeah,
and I guess here's what irks me. He didn't do as well as I guess people hoped. People said, oh, he made this much money in NIL, $6.8 million because of his name, because of his family, because of all the hype surrounding him. And he fizzled. He what, did he have 100 yards passing or less? And
yeah, kind of a low day for him.
Threw an interception. And, which, okay, he didn't throw for 400 yards and he didn't do this and that. But, this is a freshman. Isn't he a freshman or a sophomore?
I think he's a redshirt sophomore.
Okay, redshirt sophomore. I think he stayed around the team 2 years before he actually got to start. Okay, that makes sense. And so these attacks on this kid personally, these memes against this kid, overrated, he's a bust, all these pronouncements that he's washed up. And we were talking about a kid he's been a winner his entire life. He comes from a family of winners. He's a true, and he's a humble guy.
Seems like a great kid.
A good kid. And, it just drives me crazy. You got these fat, out-of-shape losers who are on their computer talking trash to this kid.
Probably never even picked up a football.
Couldn't throw a football 5 yards and talking trash and giving their pronouncements and sending memes about this kid. And I know this kid doesn't care. I mean, I know this kid is quality, and he's ready for the big leagues, and he's expecting to be criticized, and that's how it is. But it offends me. I'm like, are you really? I mean, you can now if you want to criticize the University of Texas, God bless you. Those are the most arrogant fan base there's ever been. If you like khakis and a shitty golf shirt and a can of beer, and stupid sunglasses,
right?
God bless you. You know, you can criticize the University of Texas fans, but don't criticize Arch Manning. I mean, the fan base, they suck. Arch Manning's a good kid. So some of those Texan fans are just cringeworthy.
Yeah, Texas fans are pretty cringy.
Yeah, they make me and they have the gall to criticize Aggies.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, seriously, bro? Let me show you something. This is called a mirror. Take a look. You know,
And most of them don't even go there.
most of them don't go. A lot of the so-called fans, they have so little going on in their lives. They're big Texas fans, but they couldn't even get into the they couldn't even get into the school.
That's got to be one of the worser plays you can even do is be a diehard Longhorn fan, but you didn't go to school there.
Anyway, my point is, don't attack the kid. Lay off the boy. You want to attack his family. You want to attack Peyton. You want to attack Eli. Attack them. Don't attack the kid. I mean, the kids. He's gonna mark my words. Mark my words. That boy is going to be a star.
He'll come back.
It may not be this year. It may not be. I don't know when it is, but I can tell he's a quality guy. So you know, I want to switch gears. Segment about success. You know, we have a continuing running segment on the keys to success because what I'm doing is I'm following the chapters of the book that I've written.
Tracking your book.
Tracking the book for the most part. We've talked about the importance of hard work. Mm-hmm. Although the more I talk about it, the more I see that even people that work in my organization have a hard time putting their hands around that. You know, they want to talk about they're heading off to Las Vegas and things like that instead of how can I do the work that needs to be done. And the work is kind of an afterthought. You know, if you're a professional, that should be your focus. Now, if you have a family, that should be your focus, but your professional life should be focused so you can take care of your family. I see most people, I don't want to paint with too broad of a brush, but I see a lot of younger people that are more focused on what fun thing they're going to do next, what fun place they're going to go next, not focused on, hey, I'm going to develop myself professionally, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, relationship-wise. They're all just looking for another good time. Well, I'm here to tell you, you're getting left behind. You're getting left behind because there are people like Arch Manning, as an example, who are busting their asses every day to make themselves better in their chosen profession. And are not worried about where they're going to stay at what's the place people stay in Vegas? Now, I don't go that shithole.
A lot of people go to Cosmo. A lot of people go
I don't even know these places. Yeah. I don't go. Why would I go there? Why would I go there? Vegas. Oh, just a little dip in the desert, right? They don't even have the Blue Man Group anymore, right?
They're done.
It's all done. I've outgrown the Blue Man Group. They got the only thing I would go there, I would go to the Sphere and I'd watch a show at the Sphere because I hear that's pretty cool. But anyway, the key to success, you know, we've been tracking this and hard work. Well, I'm always going to come back to hard work, but I can't teach somebody to work hard. It's got to be in their DNA, or they've got to decide one day when they wake up, you know what, I'm going to work hard today. I'm just going to do it today. And it takes some gumption to say every day, I'm going to do this every day. But today we're going to talk about seizing opportunity, because I think that's real important. It kind of goes hand in hand with when we talked about the comment from the viewer or from that we got from
the guy saying to go all in,
about going all in.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes hand in hand with that. But I want to start with a little story. And I know you love my stories, and I know the czar over there loves my stories.
It's got some good ones.
Now, I was teaching a class. I'm teaching a class at the Texas A&M Law School. And this is a good example. This is a really good segue because many years ago when I was on the Board of Regents of the Texas A&M University system, the system has 11 universities, now 12, and 7 state agencies, manages that all of this, and includes, of course, the A&M main campus, includes Galveston, includes the San Antonio campus, it includes Prairie View A&M, it includes Corpus Christi. I mean, we're talking about all over the state. The A&M system has hands all over the state. And we had always said, you know, what is the system missing? Well, we need a law school. The A&M system needs a law school. UT has a law school. Tech has a law school. We need a law school. You know, if we're going to be a public university system that serves the people of the state of Texas, we need law school. So we looked around. We almost bought South Texas. And I say we. I wasn't on the board at that time, but the A&M system almost bought South Texas. That didn't work. There was a lot of pushback in the city of Houston that they were trying to prevent the A&M university system from getting a foothold in Houston. And so then the next year, there was a look at St. Mary's in San Antonio. That didn't go anywhere. I wasn't involved in that, but this is just what I'm told. But then Texas Wesleyan was available in Fort Worth. Now, Fort Worth's a really cool town. You hear about Dallas-Fort Worth, but Dallas and Fort Worth couldn't be any more different. If you've been to Fort Worth and you've hung out there, you know that's true. And so Texas Wesleyan became available. And so we spent the system $72 million, taking a huge risk to purchase an unranked law school. Had to deal with the people that were going there that expected to get a Texas Wesleyan degree, had to deal with the people that had gotten degrees from Texas Wesleyan. All of a sudden now their school disappeared, rebranded the school, upgraded the school, if you will, hired different types of professors. The two deans that have been at the school, the current dean is both of which are just top notch. And that school went from unranked to 22nd in the country.
Which is incredibly hard to do.
It's impossible. Never been done, but we did it. And so I was telling the students that, in my class on Friday, and it made me think about the story about the beggar on a box.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you've heard this several times, so I'll try to make it abbreviated. But there's a beggar sitting on a box, and multiple people coming by every day, and the beggar saying, "I need something. Can you give me something, like $1? I want to buy stuff to help me. I want to, it'll help me, this and that, and over and over." And he's just sitting on a box. Finally, one man comes by, and beggar's on a box, and says, "Hey, man, I've been by here several times, and I see you every time I come by, you're sitting on this box. And this box appears to be unopened. What's in the box?" And the beggar, he kind of does a double take. It's like, I've never looked inside the box. So the beggar looks inside the box, and everything he had been wanting is there. And so the point of that is that there's opportunity around you everywhere. You're looking for opportunity. You think, "Oh, I need this chance. I need that. If I only had this, it's there. You just have to see it and be able to look for it, because he's sitting on the box this whole time, and he's been sitting on it the whole time." So when we talk about opportunity, you should always have your eyes trained on looking for opportunities. We talk about goal setting. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on in these pods. But once you've set a goal and you've put it in writing about what you want to do, you should always be scanning everybody you come across, every opportunity that comes by, and be ready and have the mindset that I'm gonna seize opportunity. I've told the story about how I left a big law firm and started my firm and came across a case that really made me a decamillionaire within a couple of years of practicing law. Within 2 years, really. I think back on that and I think, what if I was said, "Oh, that looks too scary," or that's too much of a risk, or I focused on all the things that could happen bad rather than focusing on all the things that could happen good. You usually achieve the things you focus on. So if you're focused on the negative, that's what you're going to achieve. If you focus on the positive.
Yeah. And like our guy in the comments said, you almost just have to take the plunge, because you could have said, "Well, I'm going to wait until I'm 35 or till I'm 40.
Or I'm going to, there's always a reason to wait.
Or I'm going to wait till I have X saved. Or I'm going to wait until I get the next house.
I'm going to wait. Anytime you feel yourself, or that little voice in your head is telling you to wait to do something, question it.
Yeah,
because that's fear. That's fear that's talking. That's not somebody cautioning you to be calculated with risk. That's somebody cautioning you in that head of yours. That's fear. So look at it very carefully. It's probably fear. And you should reject fear.
And that reminds me of something you said with all the lawyers the other day. You said some of you guys are looking around for reasons to not do your work right now, but you should be looking for reasons why you should do your work right now.
Too many people have a task to do, and they get ready and they gear themselves up to do the task, and then there's some little roadblock in their way, and they put the task at the bottom of the list and go to the next one. instead of focusing on that task and accomplishing it and not allowing anything to stop them from accomplishing their task. And so nobody ever accomplished anything by doing nothing. Seems to be self-evident, but there's so many people who have some excuse to wait and do nothing. And the truth is, most people are too hesitant and too risk-adverse and are very quick to find a reason not to do something instead of a reason to do it. And one of the things I said to the lawyers, and I know you sat there in that meeting, was many of you here at this table, and there were about 25 lawyers at the table, in 2 years, you're still going to be in the same position you are. In 5 years, you're going to be in the same position you are. And I'm going to show you something I'm going to show you the reason for why you haven't achieved anything. I'm going to show it to you. Here's a mirror. Look in it. Here's a mirror. Take a hard look in the mirror, because there's only one person to blame for that, and that's you. All right. Current events. We talked when we were eating the most shitty prime rib in town.
Terrible.
Over there at, what was the name of that place again?
King Ranch Grill.
King Ranch. Oh, goodness, that was so bad. We talked about current events. Robert, why don't you, as the czar of current events, as the curator of all things current,
king of the internets,
king of the nets, what's going on in the world?
People have been asking for it, boss. Big, big, big news.
Oh, boy.
Your girl, Taylor Swift, engaged to the Kelsey bro. What are your thoughts? Need to hear your thoughts.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I was at a hearing at a double manslaughter case on the day this happened, and I was shocked that the judge didn't let court out that day. I was shocked that in fact, I showed up, and when I heard the news on the plane, because we have Skylink, what's it called?
We have Elon Musk's Wi-Fi on
Starlink?
Starlink, I think.
Starlink.
Yeah, there it is.
So we had the Starlink going. So the news broke.
Midair.
Midair news on the flight from
to Lubbock.
Houston to Lubbock.
There you go.
And the plane didn't crash, but it was touch and go.
It got bumpy when the news came.
It got bumpy when the news came out. And then, we found out that Travis Kelce had popped the question to Taylor Swift. And so I just assumed when we landed in Lubbock that the court would be let out for the day. But no, the court went ahead and held the hearing on the manslaughter case. I don't know why. Obviously, Kelce Swift's nuptials are soon to be is important stuff.
Yeah, Travis Swift, I mean, that's a big deal.
Okay, well, see, I'm not going to get into that thing. There's a few things about the whole thing that annoys me a little bit.
Okay, what do you got?
Well, the Kansas City Chiefs. There's people that are fans of the Kansas City Chiefs that wouldn't know which end of the football to be up when you pass it, that wouldn't know what a tight end was versus a split end versus a split end on your hair. I mean, there's people that don't know anything, but they have all the jerseys. Travis Kelce's jersey sells more than the quarterback's jersey.
Yeah.
You know that.
I didn't know that, but I believe that.
Yeah, and then when Taylor Swift shows up at the games, I mean, it's like a huge production. And I guess it's good for the NFL. I mean, I got issues with the NFL about other things, but I guess it doesn't hurt to have a strong, career-minded woman show up who's followed by millions of people, and I guess it increases their audience. So I can't hate on that. And I really can't hate on Taylor Swift. I mean, as much as I like to make fun of my wife, how she just adores and loves her.
She's a Swiftie.
She's big time. Yeah. Oh, boy. Man, I tell you what, I have to be careful with my jokes. I get myself in real hot water.
What's she saying about this engagement?
Oh, she says it's going to be a royal wedding. It's going to be a royal wedding. And then I'm like, okay. And I have a lot of comments that jump up in my head when I hear that kind of thing. But then I say, wait a minute. What if a whole army of young women were worshiping somebody who was bad? Right. Who was terrible. I mean, to Taylor Swift's credit, she seems to be
she's a seemingly good person.
Yeah, she seems to be a good person. So I really, as much as I want to make fun and poke fun, I got to, I kind of dial it back a little bit just because. But what I do find a little annoying is, I posted on Instagram the other day a picture of Travis Kelce in a wedding dress.
Yeah.
And I did it. I didn't make the meme. Okay. It's like you don't
You're just spreading the news.
You gave it a double post.
I did.
You gave it a story.
I didn't understand. I screwed that up. But anyway, I didn't I wasn't invested in it.
I was going to read your caption, but it's not. Just keep going.
I didn't care, right? I didn't care. It was just somebody, I'd seen the little meme with Travis Kelce wearing a dress with a beard, and I thought that was kind of funny. So I posted it, right? The hate, the freaking hate that rolled out.
You got a lot of comments on that.
A lot of hate. And I was like, dude, I don't care either way. I'm like Larry David. I don't give a shit. I don't care either way. Now, I hope that their marriage lasts. I hope it's a good example for other marriages. I hope it's a romantic love story, all that stuff. I mean, I'm not going to watch it, but for people that like it, God bless them. But I guess what's a little disconcerting is there are some people who were deeply offended by that to the point that they just started calling names.
At you?
Yes.
For posting the picture of Travis wearing a dress.
Yeah.
I don't know if we may have to squeeze another comment in here. Lacey says, it's not funny. Just shows that you're childish.
It just shows I'm childish. And I thought it was just funny. And then somebody, and then they went off on this tangent, fighting with one another and just, comment on each other's looks and all kinds. I mean, it just devolved into, and so I thought, and I even told Frances, I was like, I made comment on the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce thing, and she says, she wasn't happy about that either. Mm. But she doesn't get really angry at me. She just kind of gets annoyed. Yeah. Some of when I make comments about, what do you call it, Travis Swift? When people say that,
Travis Swift,
which I think is funny.
That's funny.
Somebody said Tony Moody. I would think that was funny, but I wouldn't get want to fight somebody about it. It's so stupid.
Right.
But anyway, I hope they laugh. Let me just say, for all you haters that are just so sensitive that even the slightest little innuendo against Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce, now Travis Kelce, if it was just Travis Kelce, they wouldn't even know his name, right? But since he's with this Taylor Swift, and she's clearly royalty and a god of some sort.
I mean, here's another thing. Travis Kelce, just a couple years ago, he had his own dating show where he was dating all sorts of women on MTV. And now he's with Taylor Swift.
How soon they forget.
Yeah, and people think he's the second coming. He's the best gentleman of all time.
Even Frances said he's a great man. And I go, what?
Exactly.
A great man?
No one even knows anything about...
He's a football player. He's never... he can catch a ball. Good. I'm proud of him.
Let's not forget his Pfizer commercials.
Yeah, and let's don't go a little too far and start acting like he's Abraham Lincoln. He's not Abraham Lincoln. He's not George Washington. When you say he's a great man, all of a sudden I'm thinking whoa, is it JFK? I mean, who is this? That's what you can do for your country. Ask whatever. Maybe has he come out with any pronouncement like that?
I don't know. I mean, up until a couple of years ago, he's a pretty colorful guy. I mean, I don't think anyone was saying hey, this should be America's husband.
I don't think anybody before Taylor rolled along. I think she looked at him because he was kind of a bad boy,
right?
And he has a bad boy history.
Yes,
and I think we're very soon to forget, which is fine. And maybe he's not going to be maybe they're going to last, and I hope they do. I don't have any ill will towards them.
Well, he's got about a billion reasons to make that one work.
And if they called me to do her prenup, boy, that'd be a tome. Also, another current event that we talked a little bit about is football. It's football season again. So no matter who your team is, the Baylor, what are they called? Baylor.
I mean, I went to Baylor.
Baylor,
I'm not going to
what
say
are they
I'm
called?
Some diehard Baylor Bears.
Bears.
Baylor Bears.
Or Ole Miss, what are they called? Running Rabbits?
The Rebels. Come on.
Hasn't the Rebels been canceled? Anyway, it should have been. Sounds really bad to me. Running Rebels or the esteemed Texas A&M Aggies.
Right.
We're all starting off except for you because y'all's team's already lost.
we played before the weekend. We're already down 0-1.
Yeah, you're already 0-1, and the actual season hadn't really started. But everybody starts a season with great optimism.
Brand new.
Ready. It's brand new. You know, I'm a Cowboy fan, but for Texans fans listening, everybody's ready. Oh, it's our year. It's our year. And then, maybe week 1, week 2, the Aggies got, powder puff games up until like week 4.
Yeah.
But in any event, at some point our dreams get crashed into the rocks of
reality starts seeping in a little bit.
Seeps in, and then we have to say, oh, well, maybe,
it's always next year.
Maybe next year. But we're at the point, well, not you. You're already maybe next year in it. But for us, me and Robert, we're still high on the hog up here. We're still like, yes, baby. We're going to do it. This is going to be our year. It's been since 1939 the Texas A&M Aggies won the national championship. And by God, 2025 is our year. Right. 2025. And I don't care what any of you UTTU arrogant people say with your khakis and your stupid boots. What's the boots they wear?
It's their glasses for me.
Oh, I hate it. I just want to punch them right in the face.
And they either have the fishing shirts or the polos.
Fishing shirts.
If there's
they ain't been fishing.
No.
Ugh.
If there's UT fans out there that wear UT fishing shirts that don't fish and didn't go to UT.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that you should be ticketed for that.
You should be prosecuted criminally.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Anyway, I wish all teams the very best except for UT. I wish all teams the best.
But we do like Arch Manning.
I do like Arch Manning. Again, I'm against the team, not against the players. All right, moving on. This is a segment that we call What I Don't Want.
Okay.
When I'm doing business with people and I ask somebody to do something, what I don't want.
Okay, here we go.
What I don't want is excuses. They say that excuses are like
we know what they say.
Noses.
Like. Okay.
This is a nice way to say it. Excuses are like noses. Everybody has one, and they all smell. Okay? I don't want to hear your excuse. When I was a young cadet at the esteemed Texas A&M University, Corps Cadets, we had 4 answers. Yes, sir. No, sir. No excuse, sir. And not being informed to the highest degree of accuracy, I hesitate to articulate for fear that I may deviate from the true course of rectitude. In short, sir, I am very dumb and I do not know.
You had to say that?
Absolutely.
Golly.
Yes, absolutely. So, too many times, what is funny about that?
I mean, that's a lot. There's a lot there.
Sounds like you had some fun, man.
Yeah, any bit. A lot of people are like, oh, nothing goes my way, and that's why I
Victim
failed.
Mentality.
Everybody's against me.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Victim mentality.
I can't catch a break.
Victim mentality.
People are so unfair to me, it seems like.
Victim mentality.
I've been singled out.
Victim.
If this had happened, I would have been able to do it.
Victim.
And so what do we find the person to blame? We go down to Walmart's. And we go down the aisle where they sell mirrors. And we buy a mirror. And we buy it and we walk out. And then we look in it. And then we find out who's to blame. Mm. Excuses are unacceptable. You either succeed and do it or you accept the blame for it. Unless you accept the blame for it, you'll never get yourself fixed.
What are your 4 answers? Yes, no.
Well, you're really wrapped around the axle around that. Sir, yes, sir. Okay. Sir, no, sir. Sir, no excuse, sir. Not being informed to the highest degree of accuracy, I hesitate to articulate for fear that I may deviate from the true course of rectitude. In short, I'm very dumb and I do not know.
Damn.
Okay. All right. Moving on. What I want people to do, stop. Clear your mind. Be present. Focus on the now. Don't focus on everything you failed in the past, and don't think about anything that's going to happen in the future. And focus on the now. Focus on the now. Do what you're doing right now the very best you can do. And if you take care of the pennies, the dollars will take care of themselves. If you take care of the small tasks and you do them very, very well, the large tasks will fall in place. Easy as that.
It's good advice.
All right. We're going to talk about one of the good things. One of the good things. This is a segment where we highlight either a restaurant that's good, a movie that we saw that was good, a person that we believe is cool or good in the city, or even an organization that we think should be highlighted and is good. So the one of the good things segment, we're going to talk about Houston Children's Charity.
Okay.
Houston Children's Charity has been around for some time. It's a charity that is obviously focused on the children of Houston and the Houston area. They do a lot of things. They do the backpacks for children during back to school time. They work with the Marines with the Toy for Tots program, and they give out toys at George R. Brown. They work with that. They provide mattresses for families where a child might be sleeping on the floor, doesn't have a mattress, and we all know that a good night's sleep is going to make just worlds of difference in a person's life. The chairman is Tillman Fertitta. He's been chairman of Houston Children's Charity for some time. Frances, my wife, is on the board. That has just a brilliant board of very successful, very accomplished people, all of which are working together to make lives of children in the city of Houston and the surrounding areas better. And another important and key ingredient of the Houston Children's Charity, of course, is the executive director, which is Laura Ward, who's a very close friend of mine. Her husband is Dave Ward, who is in the Guinness Book of World Records as the longest local broadcaster in the history of the United States.
Yeah, he's a Houston legend.
He's a Houston icon. And I think one of the things that I think the primary thing that the Houston Children's Charity does that I really like is, and I'm really vested in, is the van program, where they provide handicapped accessible vans to families that need them. Many times you have a child who's handicapped, who is pretty much homebound, who can't go to the library or go to the beach or go to the store, whatever. They're just and moving them just from one room to the next is a chore. And when they get this van, handicap accessible, they can roll their chair right onto the van, and their mother, father, grandmother, whomever's taking the caretaker can take them pretty much anywhere. Yeah,
because if they don't have the van, these folks, they can't even get in the car. I mean, it's incredibly hard to take care of them, but they can't get them into a vehicle in the first place.
I think that this program is the most life-changing thing that a charity does in the city of Houston. I think it should be a program that should be Texas-wide. I think the people involved in it, the cool thing about when you donate a van or you donate funds for part of a van, 100% of those funds go to the van. There's no administrative costs. There's no staff costs. It's 100%. And, over the years, these vans, I remember when I gave the first couple of vans as donated to assist in the program, the vans were they cost 30-something thousand back then, 30, 40,000. Now these vans cost almost 70,000 each. And so they need help. And it's just amazing. There's always a long line of people whose name is on the list who are waiting to get a van. And to be at the van giveaway program, if you're a donor or partial donor, where you are given the keys and you can hand it to the family, and to watch them go out and use their van for the first time, it's moving, and for the recipients, life-changing. So that, my friends, is one of the good things in Houston, and I wish them the best. And if you're watching this and that's something you're interested in, just Google Houston Children's Charity, the Chariots program, and make a donation or come to the annual gala, which I think is in October. I usually get on the stage and auction and try to raise money for more vans. They've given away hundreds and hundreds of vans, and there's still hundreds of people waiting for vans. So it's a need that's out there, and we should support it. And this pod supports that.
Yeah, and I was going to say at that same charity, you can go and see you auctioneer. Which is kind of fun.
Well, that's fun, but the biggest thing is the vans.
Right.
All right, new segment. We've been doing these top 5 segments, and that's something, people like to. People's attention span is about this long. People are fickle. One of the things that irks me. I got a lot of things that irk me.
we can do that.
Let me tell you another thing that irks me. What irks me is when there is a headline in the newspaper, either on Facebook or Instagram or even online when you're reading the newspaper, and you look at the comments and the person's commenting about the headline only. They never bother to even read the article. And sometimes these news organizations, they write the headline in a grabbing kind of way because they're looking for clicks. But the headline really doesn't
has nothing to do with the body.
It doesn't
of the story.
really give you a sense of what even has been written. But these idiotos, I call them, who read the headline and then they go, I'm going to and they're in the comments and they're sweating and they're writing their stupid freaking comments that has nothing to do with the article itself. And if they had just read the article, they would realize that everything they just wrote makes them look like a bigger bonehead than they already are.
That's on the editor too, though. The headlines are out of control.
True, but that's not who I'm mad at.
Right.
I'm mad at the person commenting on the headline. The person commenting, had they read the article, would probably not comment.
Probably not.
Or they would comment in some other way. People that comment, anyway, let me just say, there's a special person out there.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the comments you read, these were good comments. I mean, I don't have any axe to grind with these folks that you read. But some of these people that comment, they're just idiots.
Most people that are rational enough to read the story like you're talking about, that will read a full article, they're not going to comment. The people that are commenting are usually very extreme one way or the other.
Agreed. I think if somebody spends their time commenting all the time, I got some words for them. Get a life, loser. Should I repeat that?
No, I think we got it.
Okay. All right, moving on. This segment is a top 5 segment. The top 5 elevator crimes.
Top 5 elevator crimes.
Top 5 elevator crimes. We're just going to go from the misdemeanors up into the felonies.
So 5 is least offensive,
yes.
But still very offensive.
Yes, yeah. And there's a lot of things. I mean, but these are just 5. And if you got a few that you want to chime in, I'm open to them.
Okay.
Standing too close.
Yep.
Don't stand close to me. Okay? That sounds like a police song, but it's true. Do not stand close to me. There's a whole elevator. Move away.
Right.
Move away from me. I don't want to smell your cologne. I don't want to smell your breath. I don't want to smell your BO. Move away.
Or your coffee.
Or your coffee. Yeah. I don't want to smell anything on you. Okay? I don't want to smell. And one time, I have to go through 4 elevators to get to my office. I used to wear, back before I was nicer, I'm very nice and kind now, but back when I was kind of mean,
right?
I would wear sunglasses on the elevator because I didn't want people to talk to me, right? Because people I must have talk to me on my forehead because people want to talk to me, right? They look at me and they go, "Ooh, I must talk to him." So I'd wear sunglasses,
right?
Right? One time a lady asked me, "Why do you wear your sunglasses in the elevator?" I said, "Because I don't want people to talk to me." She didn't get it. She just kept on talking. Anyway, that's number 5. Standing too close. Get the heck away from me. If I'm standing over here, I want you to stand over there.
Right.
And when somebody gets off, which I go straight to the top. So, but if I'm on some elevator where there's people getting off,
you should rotate to fill in the loose gaps.
I want you to continuously moving away.
Yes.
That's what I want. Okay. Walking slow and letting the door close. The thing I hate the worst, I get into Chase Tower. I get into the elevator. I know somebody's back there behind me walking. I can hear their clop, 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 clop of their feet. And I can hear it. And I'm waiting. I'm like, elevator door.
Animal coming in.
It sounds like a horse walking. Elevator door's closing, but they're walking. And you're like, shit, I don't want to, put my hand in there and stop it, but I don't want to be an asshole at the same time. So I'm just hoping close. And then right at the last minute, you see their fat, ugly mug, pop in there. Then you have to do put your foot up, right? Because if you don't, and they see your face as it closes.
Yeah, Tony Busby didn't open the elevator.
And then, somebody wants to comment. Same kind of idiots that comment.
Yeah.
So, I have to put my hand up or and they'll go, oh, thank you. And then you're like, yeah, I got to wait for this thing to cycle again, buddy. Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't like that. If you see me get on the elevator, pick up the pace.
Or just wait for the next one.
Or wait for the next one. Slow down or pick up the pace. Don't go into that no man's land of, should I stop it? Should I not? We know we've all been there.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
Wearing a backpack.
That's out.
If you're a big enough nerd that you choose, and you know my feelings on this. I don't think a business person who's a professional, legitimate business person ever should carry a backpack. When I see somebody wear a business suit and they're carrying a backpack, I know they're not wearing a Brioni.
No.
I know they're not wearing a Zegna.
Probably not even wearing suit supply.
Yeah, I don't even know I'm not going to make comments about somebody what they wear. I'm just telling you, I don't take them seriously.
Right.
If you're dressed in business attire and you're carrying a backpack, I automatically have made a decision about whether I take you seriously. You know, you're not a serious person. You're not. There is nothing that you do not have that much stuff to carry. Okay? And if you do, you need to sift through it and figure out, put something in a briefcase. And don't even talk to me about those rolling bullshit things. What are they called?
I don't know. The rolling briefcases? Those are even more offensive.
No, I don't want to see that either.
I mean, you're going on death row for that.
Yeah, that's a offense. But if you're wearing a backpack and you get into the elevator, especially if there's more than 4 or 5 people in there, and you're turning around, and if that backpack hits me, I'm going to consider it an assault. Okay, and I'm going to act accordingly, just FYI. Okay, talking on the phone. How important do you think you are that you get into an elevator and you, instead of saying, hey, I'm getting on an elevator, let me cut off, you keep talking, and everybody's there in the elevator listening to your stupid conversation as you talk about, you're going to Lupe Tortillas or wherever the hell you're going that afternoon, or you're talking about some business deal you're working on, and you're like the 4th person on
Probably
the deal.
Just making it
and
up.
Nothing that you're offering up matters.
No.
You're not the person making the deal, clearly, because the person making the deal wouldn't be talking on the phone in an elevator.
He's sitting in his office
He's in
like
his
a
office
man.
actually making the deal.
Right.
He's not going home and talking on the phone and trying to be a big dog on the elevator. And I got to listen to your bullshit. I don't want to hear your bullshit.
Right.
I'm quiet. Well, here's what I do. I get on the elevator and I'm quiet. I stare straight ahead.
A lot of times on the elevator, I watch you and you don't say a word. A lot of times you close your eyes.
I close my eyes, and that's because I'm not wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, you don't want people
Because
to talk to you.
when I close my eyes, that lets people know I'm meditating.
Even me, when I'm
I don't
behind
wanna
you in the
talk to you,
elevator, I'm
Colby.
like, I'm not going to open my mouth.
No, thank you. Because the elevator is my last clear chance to find my zen before I go into the madhouse of my law firm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because I got to go from 0 floor to 60, and then I got to go from 60 to 74, and then I got to go to 74 to 75. That entire evolution, what I'm seeking is quiet. I don't want to hear it. Okay? What I want to hear is quiet. I want zen. And if somebody were to say, hey, how are you doing today? I would open my eyes, or I may leave my eyes closed and say, I'm doing well, I hope you are too. Because I don't mean any ill will to anybody.
If you approach you on the elevator while your eyes are closed, you're a moron. Because just looking at you with your eyes closed on the elevator, you're like, I don't want to fuck with this guy.
I don't want to be talked to.
No.
Okay.
You would have to be blind and dumb to be like, hey, I'm going to ask this guy.
There are people like this, Colby. There are people that they just can't help themselves. They just want to spark up a combo as if something positive is going to come out of it. I promise you, nothing positive is going to come out of a conversation with me on the elevator. Even if I know you, I don't want to talk to you. You can talk to me before I get on. You can talk to me after I get off. Oh, you won't make it to my floor. All right.
Was that number 1 on the list?
Nope. You know what the
boy.
last one is?
All right, let's see it.
I hate to even say it because people get offended, but don't fart on the elevator.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like a faux pas of all faux pas. I mean, or don't bring something stinky on the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I hate that.
Like you just heated up your lunch.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Agreed.
Come on. Anyway.
I got one that I think should be on there. Sometimes, and I park in a different garage than you, but every single person that works at Chase Tower for the most part parks in my garage. And the elevators in the morning get super busy because everyone's going to work.
Okay.
There are times when the elevators get extremely crowded. I mean, they're packing 6 people in there. It's already too crowded. And some guy is trying to get on, join in on the elevator. There's no room for him. And on Friday, a guy was trying to get on the elevator. It was full, but he got on anyways, and then he acted annoyed that people were close to him. And it's like, man, you were supposed to wait for the next ride, but instead you got on our ride, and now you're acting like an asshole.
Well, did you punch him in the back of the head?
No, because I was 3 rows deep, because when I got on the elevator, there was nobody on it. And I think if the elevator is at max capacity, you just got to let it go and wait for the next one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the point is this. I had this thought when I was in Maine. I had been on the island for a few weeks, and I wanted to come back to Houston to celebrate my wife's birthday. And after I did that, I went back, but I decided to drop by grocery store before I went back to the island so I could have some provisions. And I don't go to grocery stores. You know that. It's not something I like to, but I don't ever go to a grocery store that often.
Yeah, you're not a weekly grocery shopper.
No, and I'm not suggesting I'm too good for that. That's not the point. The point is I just don't do it. But I was pushing around a cart in a grocery store in Brunswick, Maine, and everybody was darting here and there. Yo, darting, like pushing. I was like, whoa. It's like bumper cars. And I had this thought to myself, which is kind of like to dovetail into what you're talking about, this guy that was in such a god-awful hurry that he squeezed onto the elevator and then got upset because people were standing too close to him. I was like, what is the rush? What is everybody rushing around for? I mean, are you hurrying to get home so you can set your fat ass on the couch and do nothing? I mean, are you a heart surgeon? Is there a surgery going on and you need to get those plums before you go back to the ER? Or, are you a fireman and there's a fire at the local elementary school that but you need to buy these bananas and these dates from the produce section and before you leave? No, none of that. What is the rush? I was like, you want to go in front of me? Go in front of me. I'm okay. I'm not important in any sort. I'm just a guy that's trying to buy some fruit and looking at the tangerines, and I may get some peaches, but I ain't no rush because I'm going to if I get there 10 minutes later or 10 minutes earlier, there ain't going to be anything different that's going to happen. I'm going to have 10 additional minutes to sit on the front porch and look at the sun, or I'm going to read an additional 25 pages in a book. I don't think anybody is that busy, that important, or that in a big hurry that their mental health, they're willing to sacrifice it because they're in such a god-awful rush. So my point is, slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Take a breath. Take it easy. There's no rush. Whether we get to the store and get a prime rib at 5:30 or 5:49, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Why cause all this stress in yourself in such a god-awful rush when you're not really in a rush for anything? Oh, I got to get home. I got to get here. Let's be honest. There ain't nothing you're going to do that's that important. There ain't nothing that important that you're going to do. Now, you're saying, oh, I'm going to miss my child. I'm not going to be able to pick up my child at 3:30. All right, I can accept that. Do you think everybody in that grocery store that was frantically running around? I noticed because I was in a headspace of pure peace and tranquility. So I wasn't in any rush. I was landed, got in my rental, and was driving to Georgetown, Maine. And I just so happened to see the grocery store. And I said, hey, I'm going to pop in there and get some groceries. I wasn't in a hurry. I didn't have anywhere to be. I didn't have anything to do. Even if I had, it would wait. It's not that important. It's not important enough to sacrifice my mental health and create some sort of anxiety that I have to be somewhere. So I was kind of in that headspace, and I was just kind of looking like everybody had a pain look on their face and was in a rush, and they would like almost hit my cart, and I would like, no, go ahead. And I had a bunch of fruit and vegetables and so forth. And I was going up to the checkout, and some woman zipped in front of me. Like, you're obviously in a bigger hurry than me, but I really was interested to know what was the hurry. Like the guy that jumped on the elevator and then was upset that he was too close to everybody. You might want to, the question I would have in my mind is, what is the rush? Mm-hmm. What are you in such a rush for? You're going to have an extra minute to sit in your little shitty cubicle and do some shitty work that nobody cares about? Pretty sure it doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter.
No, and if he really did need to be there, if it was that important, then he should have just got to work earlier. And if the woman at the grocery store had something that important afterwards, she should have just punted on the grocery store.
It was a lot of people.
Right.
It was like, I was just watching. I was like, I have been there in that headspace where I'm always in a rush. I'm the kind of person that when we're traveling and I found myself when I knew the boat was coming to pick me up to take me to the airport. And I started getting ready. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. The boat's going to be there when the boat's there. There's nothing you need to be doing other than just relax. Easier said than done, but something to consider. All right. We always do this same segment. And sometimes it leads to a good discussion. And sometimes it leads to an interesting talk about certain things. But we're going to do, I Remember a Case.
Okay.
And over the several pods, we've talked about several different types of cases. Today is going to be kind of a more traditional space, kind of a case right in our strike zone, and that is the $41 million spider bite case, or maybe it was 42. I forget what it was exactly. But let me take you back. So a guy lived in the valley, worked at a furniture store, lived with his mom and dad. Their house, if you looked over the back fence, you could see the Rio Grande River. They were that close to the Mexican border. His brother worked offshore on a dredging vessel that worked most of the rivers in the inland rivers, I think for a company that was out of Iowa, if I'm not mistaken. And one day his brother was home because his brother would work 3 weeks on and 1 week off. And he said, hey, they have some openings on the dredge if you want to come work. And he had never worked offshore before, but he loved his older brother and he wanted to make some money. And he had been working part-time at a furniture store. So he said, yeah, brother, I'll go with you. So the younger brother and the older brother, they drive to somewhere near northern Arkansas, and they're doing a dredge project there on the Arkansas River. Some point during that work, the plaintiff, I'm just going to call him the plaintiff, I'm not going to mention his name, was bitten by a black or a brown recluse spider. He was bitten right here on the hand. And if you've ever been bitten by those spiders, it causes a big circle, and it looks like it basically kills the skin. It erodes the skin. And it can cause an infection, and you need to get antibiotics, and you need to get it looked at and cleaned. So he went to a clinic shoreside, and the doctor had already started to get infected a little bit. So the doctor said, look, you need a series of antibiotics, and I'm going to give you some, and I want you to come back in a week so we can check it, because I may need to give you, because they don't like to give you the strongest antibiotics first. They want to give you the weaker ones and then work it up, because antibiotics, if your body gets used to them, they're not as effective. So that's how doctors typically do. So after a week, it had not cleared up, and it looked like it was starting to get even a little more infected. The circle was getting a little bigger. But the boat was moving. And so he was not able. He went to the captain and said, hey, I have an appointment. I'm supposed to go. Say, well, you have to do it at the next port. So they were moving. They were moving the dredge and the support vessels. And so he did not get the follow-up treatment that he needed. Within a couple of weeks, he started developing these big blisters on his skin. He would get them on his neck. He would get them on his back. He would get them on his arm.
All over the place.
All over. And you could see the infection you could see it was kind of climbing up his arm. And he kept going to the captains like, hey, I need to get this looked at. He kept popping these things. It was really disgusting, and because I had some pictures of it. But in any event, his brother, finally concerned for his health, said at the next port, I'm taking him back to the valley and getting him some medical treatment. Well, they drove all the way in their car, all without stopping, got to Rio Grande Medical Center, and went in there, and he was already had infection throughout his body. He had developed MRSA, which is it's a resistant infection. Sometimes people that get this, if it's really bad, they have to be on IV all the time. So it's a big deal. And he was developing these pus pockets internally as well. He had one in his abdomen they had to drain. They had many, many milliliters of fluid out of his abdomen. He had them in his spine. He had to have spinal surgery. I mean, this guy was really, really messed up. And what it turns out, what had happened was while he was home, the company had sold to a larger company. And when they were asked how many people in your workforce are going to come with the new company, all of them, except for a few people that were on medical leave. And he was one of those people on medical leave, but they just terminated him so they wouldn't have to disclose that they had people on medical leave. So he didn't have any health insurance either. And they didn't send him COBRA information, so he wasn't able to get health insurance. And what he found out was a lot of the times he was going to the doctor, they would just treat him for the immediate problem and then discharge him because he didn't have health insurance. And he developed a lot of problems where he ultimately died. And so we filed suit against his employer, and it was only about halfway through the case we realized that they had sold out, and that's sold to a new company, and that's why he didn't have health insurance. And I mean, it was just a sad, sad situation. And I think some of the key moments in the case was, I think there was an offer early in the case. I think we made a demand, because it was very difficult, of $100,000, which they rejected. As we got closer to trial and I took over the case personally, I think they made an offer of like $4 or $5 million. And I told them, if you'll offer $7 million and I don't have to get on a plane to go to the valley, we'll settle this, because, this man had already perished and no amount of money is going to bring him back. Well, they wouldn't do that either. When we landed in Starr County and we'd been there for a couple of days, we did get an offer for $7 million, which, of course, every offer you have to communicate to the client. And I went to his mother, and even before the number was translated, she said, "No way, not now." And I was so happy for her to say that. I remember hugging her and saying, "Yes, I'm so glad that you decided to reject the $7 million offer." So they went from $100,000 to $4 million to $7 million. And we tried the case, and this is one of those where there was probably 8 jury notes that came out. The first one was, can we just announce our verdict?
Yeah, and tell people a jury note is what?
Well, when the case is completed and the jury is deliberating, if the jury has a question, they'll write a note and send it to the judge. The first jury note, which came out I just landed back in Houston because I didn't stay to hear what the verdict would be. And I got a call, like, we have a jury note, and it was, can we just announce the verdict? And the judge, of course, said, no, you have to fill out all the jury forms. You have to answer the questions in writing. And then at some point, the verdict came out, I think like 8:30 at night. It was $44 million or so, whatever the number was of the amount that the company sold to the larger company for. That's what the jury awarded this family who had lost their son. And I think the interesting thing there is that the jury told one of our lawyers that what we wanted to do, the judge had stopped us, but we wanted to do $440 million.
Yeah, 10x it.
Yeah, we didn't 10x that, but the judge had kind of shut them down on that and said, no more jury notes. But in that trial, we bought and found every brown recluse spider that from any lab, any researcher across the country. We had buckets of them. throughout the entire trial, live and dead, preserved, large pictures of them. I mean, the entire courtroom, I had them all over. When the potential juror members came in, they were like, whoa, what is going on here? But it was scary. And but I think that kind of created a lot of interest. And then when I laid out the story about what had happened to this poor guy and how his medical treatment had been, had he had medical treatment and the proper medical treatment, he wouldn't have died.
You kept those spiders in there the whole trial?
The whole trial. Pictures of them, buckets of them, jars of them, preserved on pieces of cardboard. I mean, it was very dramatic. But it was one of those cases, you think about somebody gets bit by a spider on a vessel, that turned into a 40-some-odd million dollar verdict. And you think, back to the comment made by the person earlier in this pod where he said,
how are people getting $100 million?
Well, that's why, because this company absolutely disregarded the health and welfare of this individual to the point that his brother took him off the vessel and drove him 18 hours home to try to get him medical care. And by that point, it was too late. That's why. And I don't make any bones about it. They deserved every hammer that they got upside their head. Okay. Colby, I know that our segment people really like is the kind of the practice pointer question, or and it doesn't have to be legal based, but do you have one for us?
Yeah. Okay. For a younger person, if they came into some money, what would you do with that money?
Let's talk about that. So if you came across some money, whether you got a fee in your real estate business, or you made a fee in the legal business, or a relative left you some money, and let's make sure what kind of money we're talking about. Let's say it's somewhere $100,000 to $1 million.
Yeah, I was going to say between $500,000 and $1 million.
Okay, so let me just tell you, if you have $500,000 or $1 million, you're not rich. Okay, let me just tell you that you're not rich. So don't start thinking you're rich. Don't go buy your stupid G-Wagon. Okay, don't do that. Don't go start buying, I'm going to get an exotic car. Oh, I'm going to do this. Don't do any of that. If that's all you have, $500,000, $1 million, okay, that'll be gone. I would spend that in a week,
right?
If I weren't paying attention. Save your money. Don't change your lifestyle. Now, sometimes what I might tell somebody is, okay, take a small portion of that and splurge. Let's say you deserved it. Let's say that you did something to earn it. Not it was given to you by a relative. Not that you inherited it. But let's say you really worked super, super hard and you closed a deal that you closed based on your merit and your hard work, and you deserve to reward yourself a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the essence of life. Buy yourself a nice watch. Okay? And
but
then
you're saying just with a cut of
a small portion of it.
Okay.
That way every time you look at this watch, you say, I worked hard for that. That's that deal, right? Or buy yourself a nice suit, and every time you wear that suit, you remind yourself of how hard you worked and how it paid off for you. But the gross majority of that money, put it somewhere where it's safe. I love real estate. I don't care what the idiots like Grant Cardone and other fools like that tell you, like, don't buy your own house and don't, screw that bullshit. If you can buy yourself a house, I don't think you can with $500,000. I don't think you can with $1 million, but maybe you can. Not in the Houston area. But what I would do is I would put it somewhere where it's safe. Right now, the interest rates being the way they are, a CD, you're getting probably four and some change percent. That ain't a lot, but guess what? You're not going to lose the money. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I always tell people is I don't care if the interest rates are somewhere between 4 and 5% in CDs. I know that a lot of money managers will say, "Oh, that's barely beating inflation." I don't give a shit. One thing it's not going to do is to get lost.
Yeah,
One thing it's not going to, you're not going to burn it up. You're not going to make a foolish investment. All these people try to sell you anything, these so-called money managers who are taking a point or two off the top. Screw that bullshit. You go down to the bank, you get you a jumbo CD, and you stick that money in there for 6 months and don't touch it. And then think about what you're going to do with it. Because the worst thing you can do is that money starts burning a hole in your pocket and you want to go buy something. Oh, and you got $1 million, you got $500,000, you think, oh, I could get this, I could get that, I could get that. Worst thing you could do. Go stick it somewhere. where you can't touch it. 6 months, even a year, locked in CD. And you say, well, I'm going to get 4% on that, and the in inflation over that same time frame may be just that. Yeah, but guess what? When that CD matures, you're going to have the money.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have that money. And then hopefully what you're going to do, I still believe that the primary investment for people that are middle-class people is owning your own home. I still believe that. There's something to be said for that. If you buy a house and you hold it, on the long run, it's going to increase in value. Over the long run, it's going to appreciate. That's just how it is.
And peace of mind in owning your own home.
Giving you peace of mind on your own home. All you got to do is pay the taxes and insurance, right? You don't even have to pay the insurance if you don't have a mortgage, right? But you got to pay the tax. You got to pay the HOA. Otherwise, they'll take the house away from you. But otherwise, you have something. You have something to show for the effort that you've put in. Too many people think they're going to, I'm going to parlay 500,000 into 5 million. Guess what? You ain't going to do that. You're not going to do that. You know why? Because that's not the business that you're in. You're not in that business. You're in the business of being a CPA, or a business of being a lawyer, or a business of being a real estate professional. That's your business. Stay in your fucking lane, right? If you make a nice piece of change, put it somewhere where you still have it, you know? Now, if you start making, let's say you make the next million, you make another chunk of change, then maybe things start to change. But when you just come into your money the first time, you want to be able to look back and still have that money 5 years from now, right? So I think that's a mistake people make, and they start thinking that 500 grand's a lot of money, or $1 million a lot of money. Let me just break it to you right now. It ain't a lot of money. I've made more millionaires than any lawyer that's living in the state of Texas. I can only speak about the state of Texas because I don't know what happens in the legal field outside of it. But I know I've made hundreds of millionaires, hundreds of them. In 1 year, I made more than 150 millionaires. And and I've told some of these stories before, where I remember on a Saturday that this one particular young man who was 19, I cut him a check for $1.4 million for a personal injury settlement. It was tax-free. So this guy at age 19 had $1.4 million. Now, I don't have to tell you how compound interest works. If he would just put it somewhere and leave it, by the time he was 50, he would have a buttload of money.
Mm-hmm.
The bank president called me because I did business with a particular bank and owned a portion of that bank and sat on its board. So I would talk to the bank president quite often. He called me on a Saturday because the bank would stay up until noon on Saturday, and he said, I got one of your clients in here, and he's got a check drawn on this bank because it's from my account for $1.4 million, and he wants his cash. And he's raising all kinds of hell. He's cussed out the teller. He's mad. He's got his check, and it's from this bank, so we don't have any. He said, well, Tony, we don't have $1.4 million to give him. I said, well, don't give him $1.4 million. Don't ever do that. So I said, put him on the phone. So I got him on the phone. I said, dude, what are you doing? Mr. And he kept saying, Mr. Tony, I want my money. I want my money. I said, dude, the money is there. What the hell do you think you're going to do with $1.4 million if they were even foolish enough to give it to you? Well, I want to buy a house, and I got these jet, and he wanted to buy a boat. He wanted to buy a house. He wanted to buy jet skis, all these things. The house I'm not so upset about, other than he probably didn't realize he's going to have to pay taxes and maintenance and all kinds of other things that he probably hadn't thought through. But jet skis, as soon as you buy them, they lose their value. Bass boat, all these other things, which are nice things to have, no doubt. Probably not the things you wanted to immediately go and buy because the money's burning. The money was burning a hole in his pocket. He didn't have it in his pocket yet. So I told him, look, why don't you open an account? How much money? The jet ski joint doesn't take cash, buddy. Car dealerships don't take cash. You can't buy a house with cash. Nobody deals with cash. You show up with a bucket full of cash, the next call they're going to make is to the Secret Service or to the FBI. Okay, so you ain't going to carry cash around. You're not going to carry $1.4 million in cash. And if you did get $1.4 million in cash, I promise you there are people that will separate you from that very fast. So I finally convinced him to let them give him $20,000, which is probably more cash than he'd ever held in his life, and put the rest in the bank. And then if he wanted to buy a house, I can't tell a man not to buy a house. I can't tell him not to buy his jet skis. I can't tell him not to buy his bass boat. I can't tell him any of those things, but I can advise him to say, I know it's really, you really are all juiced up to go buy all this stuff. Why don't you let it sit for a few days? Let it sit for a few days because that money will be gone. And the truth is, within 4 years, that guy was working at the plants again.
Yeah.
And he had burned up all of his money.
Yeah, and this is different than a guy who's got 1.4 cash, but he's got steady income and ways to make that money again.
Exactly.
But this is not one of
this
those
is one.
deals.
It's kind of like these sports players. They get 1 or 2 contracts in their careers, right? Mm-hmm. And so what they don't realize is that the contract they're getting in their 20s might be the only fat contract they're ever going to get, because the likelihood is their longevity in football. Let's take football as example. Is 2 or 3 years anyway.
Yeah, probably not even playing in your
probably
30s.
Not going to be a second contract. And if there is a second contract, it's not going to I guess if you had a really small contract and you did really well and you got a really fat contract, point is, hopefully you live a long time. And if you get a big bunch of money like that, the best thing to do is just sit it aside and act like it doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. And I know that's not sexy, and I know that's not what you see on Instagram, but that's how you live. That's how you have longevity in your business, when you have that sitting aside and you're not touching it and you're not trying to go out and spend it because you have it.
Yeah, and peace of mind. Like, imagine how stressed that guy was when his 1.4, he'd check it every month or whatever, and he was down to $100,000.
That was pretty fast because he was back at the plants doing the same kind of work he was doing before the explosion. And I don't know if he even kept his house. I don't even know if he kept his house. And I don't know what he actually had to show for the money that I got him.
So maybe splurge a little bit of it.
When I say splurge, I mean a small fraction. I mean, if you really have this burning desire to buy something, buy something that's visible, that you can remind yourself of the work that you did, and a suit, nice pair of shoes, nice pair of boots, a nice watch, something like that, and put the rest of the money away and let it sit.
And something safe.
And let it sit, something safe. And a lot of investment advisors say, well, CDs, that's not a good investment. Fine. Let me put my net worth up against yours, advisor. That's another thing. Let's talk about investment advisor. I'm going to take a few shots here. Don't tell me how to invest money unless you have more money than me. And so that's going to reduce the amount of people that can do that to a small amount, right? So don't come, I get these people on LinkedIn all day long. Oh, I'd like to have lunch with you. Like, first off, I don't have lunch with people.
Right.
Okay. I'd like to buy you a coffee. Buddy, if I want a coffee, I'll ask Leticia. She'll go get me a coffee. Okay? I'd rather drink my coffee and not have to see your ugly mug. All right? So if you got some kind of investment that you think is going to make me money, tell me how much money it made for you.
Right.
Tell me how much money you made off of it. Show me your jet. Okay? Show me your jet. And then I might be interested. But if you don't come at me, you want to be a parasite on me, because I made my money, and I held my money, and I saved my money. And maybe I didn't do it all the sexy little ways that the Grant Cardones of the world did, but you know what? I'm solid, right? I've been around a long time, and I didn't get rich quick. I got rich quick and stayed rich, right? So all these investment advisor people, just a bunch of fly-by-night bullshit. I think about guys like Don Sanders, a guy that started with E.F. Hutton, who's been in this city for 60 years, who manages legitimate people's money, who doesn't go out and chase people to, let me manage your money. No. He sits back. People talk like, hey, Don manages my money. How does he do? He does well. He's very safe about it. He does things. He uses common sense. He doesn't come up with any get-rich-quick bullshit. He doesn't play games. He does it solid and patient.
This is a guy in his 90s.
Guy's in his 90s.
Yeah.
Okay? This is a guy that plays the long game, which is, for me, I'm out there trying to get big checks for my clients every week, right? But I'm not out there, contrary to popular belief, I'm not out there buying, houses in Monte Carlo and all that kind of crazy stuff and putting it on Instagram. That's all a bunch of, what do you call it? Fugazi.
Fugazi.
All right. With that, I guess we'll wrap up. That's a good question. I hope you get a big pot of money, and I hope you get a big pot of money, and I hope you're safe with it. I hope you're smart with it. So we're gonna wrap it up. Don't do anything, Colby, I wouldn't do, but if you do it the way I would do it. Be mindful, be present, and we'll see you next week.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
There you go.